Welcome to a new Knitted by Whitney video. No, this is not a podcast episode. No, this is not a pattern roundup video. It is something completely different. If you've been with me for a while, you might know that I got engaged back in November of 2021, and our wedding is coming up soon. And being a knitter, I want to knit things for my wedding. And looking at the type of content that I provide on my channel, I decided that I wanted to do a little series of videos all about my wedding. And not, this is what I'm doing for my wedding, this is the catering, this is the location, this is the dress. I'm not doing any of that. No, that's not the type of content that I share on my channel. I'm going to be providing knitting related content for my wedding. So I have a few videos in mind that I knew I wanted to do leading up to my wedding. It's going to involve some podcasts, it's going to involve some pattern roundups, and it might involve another special video or two, including this introductory video. It might be a little crazy to be doing this leading up to my wedding, but I think if I prepare them early enough, and if I give myself enough of a loophole that if I feel I can't do them anymore, I can quit anytime, it will all go smoothly. So this is going to be the first in a series of videos all about my knitted wedding. I have some very exciting projects that I'm going to be working on for my wedding, and I also have some very exciting pattern roundup videos that I have planned that are all wedding centric. And I thought I would start off this series by sharing with you, what am I knitting for my wedding? Because I'm a little crazy and I decided to knit a few things for my wedding, not just one. I came up with this list months ago and I've already had to cut something off of the list because of time constraints. But I'm going to detail what I've chosen to make and tell you a little bit about why I chose to make those things. So first and foremost, I wanted to knit myself a little top to wear for my bridal shower. And at the time of recording, my bridal shower is not next weekend, but the weekend after, and I still do not have a completed top, but I feel that I'm going to have something to wear that day. I do have a backup plan if I can't get a knitted item done in time, but I have a feeling I will be able to finish what I'm working on. So my plan originally was to knit the Antiquity blouse by Fable Knitwear. And if you've been following along with my Instagram, you'll know that I did start this top. I got pretty far into it, but it is going to be frogged because it is not working out for me. And of course, I'm going to go into more details in later videos. So my next video in the series is going to be my bridal shower top. So I will discuss all the details about how that pattern went, what went wrong, why I'm not wearing it anymore, and all that jazz in that podcast episode. So I'm not going to talk about it now, but that is what my first choice was for my bridal shower. I knew before I even started making that pattern that I've had trouble with the fit of Fable Knitwear patterns in the past. It's been kind of hit and miss for me. More so now, it's been miss, so I knew I wanted a backup. I also know that my favorite top that I've ever knitted for myself is my souffle tee, which I am wearing right now. I knit this one last winter for Penrose Knits, Laura, for her test knit. And as much as I love it, it just didn't seem very bridal to me because of the color. I chose navy at the time because that's the yarn that I had on hand in my stash. And I absolutely love wearing this top. But to me, the colors feel a bit more fall and winter just because it's such a dark color. And I planned to wear a white skirt for my bridal shower. And I thought, I just don't feel that those two are making me feel bridal for my shower. And I wanted to have something that was more springy because, we're in late May, early June. I wanted something that was a lighter color. I also knew that it was on my list to make this top with a warmer weather fiber. And I have some tencel yarn in my stash, which is a fiber derived from wood pulp. So and it was a pale blue. So I decided I would knit that for myself. And I got 90% done the sweater and I ran out of yarn. Classic rookie error. I knew I was low on yarn, but I thought I might be able to make it work because I was using some matching mohair for the ruffle. But I really just don't have enough to finish it. I could give it slightly shorter sleeves. I don't love that option because I really love the longer kind of puffed short sleeve of the blouse. So that one is in timeout until I can get replacement yarn, and at this point I won't get it in time to finish the project. So I can't wear that one to my shower either. And that was my backup pattern. So I started knitting that one at the same time as the Antiquity blouse because in my mind I thought it's better to have the backup pattern mostly done as well because the Fable Knitwear pattern is a bottom-up sweater. I won't know until close to the end of that pattern whether or not it's going to work out. So I thought to myself, I'll knit the blue souffle at the same time. And I was knitting on both of them pretty much consistently back and forth. I did kind of focus on the souffle for a while just because it was stockinette in the round. It was pretty quick to kind of like get that going on the needles versus the Fable Knitwear pattern. I had to follow a lace chart the entire time, and it was something that I felt more comfortable working on at home versus taking to work and working on during meetings, etc. So I get to kind of like the 70%, 80% mark of both of those patterns, and neither of them can be finished to wear for the shower. Oh my gosh, what do I do now? I am just feeling really dejected, really bummed out. I don't know what to do. Neither of my patterns are working. Although in the souffle's defense, it was not the souffle's fault that it was not working out. It was my own fault for not calculating yardage properly and not having enough yarn. So that was totally on me. So I'm just, at this point, I'm racking my brain. My mom is trying to find an alternative for me. She just kept saying, don't bother making anything. Just buy yourself something. Just go out and buy something and just have it done with. And that would have been an easy fix, but being a maker, it was really important to me to make something for this very special event in my life. And also I booked a photographer for my bridal shower because all the important women in my life are going to be there. I want to get lots of pictures with all of us together because we haven't taken pictures since the last big family event in our family, which was my cousin's wedding back in 2019. So none of us have really great group photos that are up to date. And I really wanted to take the shower as an opportunity to get those pictures because everyone's going to be dressed up in some nice spring clothing. And it was really important to me to wear something that I've made myself. So I'm racking my brain. I actually ended up recording my pattern roundup of my top spring and summer top patterns as a way of helping me find another pattern to work on for my bridal shower. And it did work because I chose a pattern that I listed in that video. So when I was choosing a pattern and I was looking at all of some of my favorites that I listed in that video, one stood out to me as being a safe bet because at this point, it's less than a month till the shower. I need something that I can rely on. I decided to make the Botanical Tea by Knititude. And I have made 2 of those. So I know for sure this pattern works out for me. It fits me properly. I also know that I can get it knitted up within a month because I have knitted it up within about 2 to 3 weeks both times. And I had stash yarn that was an off-white color. So yes, I can wear something that is going to be light and springy. Having the white on white is going to feel really bridal and I'm just going to feel really beautiful. I hope. I'm pretty sure I will. I am almost done that pattern. Which is why my bridal shower top podcast episode is going to be the next video in this series because that's the first event with a knitted item for the wedding. But also so that I can really hash out some of the problems that I've had with these tops. So there's the first thing that I am making for my wedding, which turned into 3 things being made for one early wedding event. That is the top for my bridal shower. Tick. Working on that right now. It's getting close to being done. So the next thing that I want to make for my wedding is actually 2 things, and I'll explain why. We're only having one attendant each. We're each having our best friends, and my best friend is my maid of honor, and I ran the idea by her a few months ago about the idea of me knitting something for both of us for the wedding, because we're getting married in October and it can still be a little bit cold at that time of year. It really depends. Sometimes in October it's really beautiful, still summery weather. Other times you're starting to feel the winter chill creeping in. And I wanted to be sure that we would be nice and cozy for the wedding. So I'm knitting us matching cardigans. I am thrilled about this idea. My best friend is so excited to get a hand knit cardigan from me. And that's also going to be my thank you gift for her for being my maid of honor. Because, it's quite a job to be the maid of honor. She's helping to organize the shower. She's going to be responsible for helping me stay sane on the wedding day. I have been just pestering her nonstop for wedding advice, and anytime that things get stressful, she's the one that I talk to about it. So, because she got married last year, so it's still kind of fresh for her, and she can give me all the advice that I need, and also she can help talk me down from the things that she also had to be talked down from going up to her wedding. So I wanted to do something really, really special for her. And I know that she's a very knit-worthy person because I have knitted something for her before. I knitted her a pair of fingerless gloves when she was living in another part of Canada, and she had a job that was really cold, but she needed to be able to type. And she cherishes those so much. So I know that she will appreciate a hand knit sweater. And it has been a struggle to find the perfect sweater, I'm not gonna lie. I knew I had a certain idea in mind of what I would like. I wanted something that was going to mimic the neckline of my wedding dress, which is a V-neck, and I wanted to be sure that whatever I knitted complemented my dress. So I don't want to talk too much about my dress because Doyle might watch. So I don't want him to know anything about the dress. But my maid of honor has seen the dress. She's seen me in the dress. She was one of the first people that I showed. And she knows that I kind of want to go for a certain vibe for the pattern. And my first thought for the wedding cardigan was the Zoja wrap cardigan by Veran Rose. And I really love that pattern. I loved it so much that I bought the yarn for it. At the time that it was in testing, I was not able to participate. Otherwise, I totally would have made it at the time. But I'm kind of glad I didn't participate in the test knit because everybody I know who participated said that it was a really challenging pattern. And that's not the kind of pattern that I like to do in a testing environment. I want to do something that I feel comfortable doing because I'm already under the stress of a deadline for a test knit. So I'm glad I didn't sign up for the test knit. I did buy the pattern. I have taken a look at it. It is a little more challenging than I usually do. It's not that it's a difficult pattern. It's just that it's not a hand-holding pattern. So there's more in the pattern that you need to know how to do. So it's a more advanced pattern, which doesn't mean that I can't do it. I've just chosen not to do it for my wedding because first of all, I need to make 2 of these. Second of all, I don't want the added stress of trying to make a challenging pattern for my wedding. That would just make me too stressed out and less likely to actually bring these cardigans into existence. So I've chosen not to do that pattern just because I don't want to have something too difficult or challenging to do. But there's elements of that cardigan that I've carried into the other cardigans that I've looked at to try and find the perfect one. So that was the first cardigan I looked at. The second one that I looked at was one that a designer posted on their Instagram, and I instantly fell in love with it. But the pattern isn't even in the testing phase yet. And we did have a really great conversation back and forth about how I could be sort of like a beta tester for her before it's even ready for testing. But she has a lot of other patterns going on right now, and she just wasn't able to get that pattern ready in time for me to beta test. However, I have told her that I would love to test that pattern for her when it is in the testing phase. But that one, I loved the details of it, and that kind of helped me narrow down to what I wanted the look of the cardigan to be, because hers was made with mohair, and Vera Rose's pattern was made with I have the ball band right here actually, brushed alpaca silk by Drops, which is technically bigger than a lace weight yarn, which is what mohair is. So it's kind of helped me narrow down what I want for the feel and the texture of these cardigans. I'm still going to use the Drops brushed alpaca simply because the color matches my dress perfectly. And I want to be sure that the cardigan that I knit is going to work really nicely with my dress. So after that second pattern didn't work out, I thought to myself, okay, I already have the yarn for my cardigan, but I haven't bought anything for my best friend yet. I knew I wanted to stick with the Drops brushed alpaca because it's the identical color to my dress. You might be able to tell because I'm quite pale, I can't wear a pure white wedding dress. I bought myself an ivory dress, which is just a little lighter than a cream color, and the Drops brushed alpaca matches my dress perfectly. So on my continued hunt for a cardigan pattern, I knew I had to stick with a pattern that could use that yarn. I was open to the idea of doing a pattern that I might need to add another strand or find myself a matching non-mohair yarn, but I really loved the floatiness of just the brushed alpaca or 2 strands of mohair held double. So that's what I've sort of zoned in on, are patterns that use a gauge like that. I've been searching and searching and searching for the right cardigan pattern, and I've been seeing the same one pop up in my searches that I've had favorited for a long time, but I just never took a really close look at it. Well, last week I was kind of just thinking, I keep seeing this pattern. Why don't I just do a gauge swatch, see if I can get gauge? And if I can get gauge with my yarn, I know then I can knit that pattern using 2 strands of mohair held together, because Drops brushed alpaca is the same gauge as 2 strands of mohair held together. And I did a gauge swatch, and if you see my Instagram, you know I got perfect gauge the first time with the recommended needle sizes and everything. And this gauge is just like a cloud. I absolutely love it. It's got really nice drape to it, but it's also not very see-through, but it also has airiness, and it just makes me so happy. So once I checked the gauge and I knew it worked out, I bought the pattern. And once I bought the pattern and I took a closer look at it, I realized the designer is from New Brunswick. New Brunswick is the province right next to Nova Scotia. My mind blew. It's like, this is a size inclusive pattern made by someone local to me? That is so cool. This feels like everything is falling into place. I feel like this is my pattern. So once I chose the pattern, got my best friend's measurements and everything, I decided to buy the yarn for her sweater. And she and I have decided that we're going to knit hers in a dark forest green. Because when we were talking about wedding colors and what she might want to wear for the wedding, I said I only have 2 criteria. I would love it if it was a long dress, and I would love it if it was an autumn color, because we're getting married in October and I just love autumn colors. I just think they're really beautiful, and she looks great in almost every fall color. Burgundy, navy, dark green, rust, mustard yellow. Oh my gosh, they all look beautiful on her. And I really didn't want to be the kind of bride that was like, you have to wear this, or else. I was never going to be like that, because it's an investment to buy a nice dress for a wedding. And I wanted her to be able to buy something that she could actually see herself wearing again. So after some back and forth, we decided that she's going to go with green for her color. And she doesn't have her dress yet, but she has her shoes. Because they are actually shoes that I bought for myself for the wedding first, back when Doyle was planning on wearing a green suit, but we never found a green suit that he liked, so we switched to blue, and then I bought blue shoes. So she's going to borrow the green shoes that I had originally bought, and I found some yarn that matches those shoes. Now, I don't know yet if it's a perfect match or not, because I bought the yarn online and it hasn't arrived yet. But I'm really hopeful. I think it'll still be a really great color. And it's my first time trying some yarn from Hobbii. And I've heard mixed reviews about Hobbii, so I'm not sure how well it's going to turn out, but I am putting my faith in the Friends Kid Silk Mohair because Tony Lipsy of TL Yarn Crafts, who if you do not follow on YouTube, I highly recommend you do, she is known as the yarn snob, and Tony is just like me. She loves a soft, buttery yarn. And she reviewed the Friends Kid Silk from Hobbii, and she had great things to say about it. So I trust my girl Tony. I know she would not lead me astray, and I know that she and I have sort of similar opinions when it comes to the softness of yarn. So I'm taking a chance on the Hobbii Friends Kid Silk Mohair in beautiful dark green color, and I'm really excited to knit these two cardigans. I have decided that I'll knit mine first, just because mine will take longer because it's a plus size. My friend is, I think, 2 sizes smaller than me on the pattern guidelines. But I'm very excited about these cardigans. The only thing I'm not excited about is that I have to learn a bit of crochet for these cardigans, but it's going to be worth it. I know it is. So I'm realizing now I haven't even told you what the pattern is. I'm going to be making the romance cardigan, and this is a pattern that to me, it's just very elegant because it's a relatively simple pattern with just that little bit of crocheted edging along the button band. And I love the slightly voluminous balloon sleeves. Now I'm going to make 1 or 2 modifications to this pattern. I do want to change up the sleeve a little bit. I don't think I want the ribbed cuff. I think I want to just do the balloon sleeve and then do an I-cord hem, just because I think that'll look a little more elegant for the wedding look versus the ribbing I find is more what I would see on a everyday sweater. But I love that it's going to have that V-neck that I need to match my wedding dress. And I already have buttons for it. I absolutely love the buttons that I've already bought, and I think I might have enough for both of our cardigans. It depends on how many buttons I need to do. So that might be something that I take into consideration when I knit up this sweater. I might do fewer buttons than the pattern indicates. And also I'm going to crop it. I really love the look of it in the sample knit, but both of us are going to be wearing long dresses, and I don't like the look of a hip-length cardigan with a long dress. I would rather have one that's cropped at the waist. So I'm going to be cropping these sweaters as well, which, you know, it's going to save me a little bit of time too, so I'm happy about that. But I'm very excited to knit this pattern and try out this local designer to me. She has many other patterns that I like, so if this one works out well, I'll be buying a few more of her patterns. Now, in my list of things that I want to knit for my wedding, there was a third sweater that I was going to be knitting, and I've already taken that off of my list for a couple of reasons. The first reason why I've taken it off my list is that I simply don't have the time to do it. I'm already getting only a few months out from the wedding, and the cardigans for the day of the wedding are much more important, so those are what I'm going to focus on. The other reason why I've changed my mind about knitting it is that I don't really need it anymore, because I was going to knit myself a blue cardigan for the day of the wedding because that was going to be my something blue. Originally, Doyle was going to wear a green suit and I wanted green shoes to match him, but he has changed his mind and we bought him a blue suit, so I bought blue shoes to go with his suit, and now the shoes are my something blue. So I don't need to do the blue cardigan anymore, but I wanted to do one because, first of all, I don't like those fancy silky robes that a lot of brides wear and with all their bridal party and everything. It's just not my style. I also know they don't come in plus sizes most of the time, and I don't like that look for myself, especially because I'm a pretty low maintenance bride. I am getting my hair done, but I'm getting it done by my normal hairdresser who I've known her for a few years, so she's coming to my parents' house to do it for me. But I'm doing my own makeup, and I am doing my own makeup because I had a makeup trial that went so badly, and it just made me realize I want to look like myself on my wedding day. I don't want to look like some glamazon that is not me. And in fact, the makeup trial went so badly. My face was like shining a beacon. I looked like a vampire clown because my face was far too pale and everything was just exaggerated. I had like mega blush. I had mega eyes. They did fake eyelashes, which looked like I had no eyes at all because they were covering my eyes. The only thing that looked nice was the lipstick. And I brought my own lipstick to this makeup trial. So that made me decide, nope, I'm going to do my own makeup. Thank you very much. So I didn't really want one of those little robes because I don't really need it. I'm just getting my hair done and she's going to put one of the capes over me when she does my hair anyway. So I originally thought that I was going to knit myself a cardigan because I have to go out and about a little bit on my wedding day. I know it's not ideal. I should be relaxing on the morning of the wedding, but there's just stuff that needs to get done, and we only have one car, so we need to kind of like ferry each other around a little bit. So I thought I would knit myself a cardigan, but I don't have the time to do that. So I'm just going to wear a cardigan that I already have, and it'll be great. So that's why I'm no longer knitting that cardigan, but there's one other little item that I'm going to be knitting for my wedding, and this one's going to be a little bit of an experiment, I think. I am going to be knitting a pocket square for Doyle. I've decided that I'm going to knit him a pocket square, and I'm hoping, now this is fingers crossed, hoping that I can design a pattern. I kind of want to do a colorwork pattern because Doyle's suit is blue, but his tie is burgundy, so I kind of wanted to pull together both the blue and the burgundy. I really love the look of two-color pocket squares. I've seen some really nice ones that are diagonally striped, but I also love ones that are like tweedy that have like little neps of other colors in them. I'm not going to do a tweed one just because I couldn't find a tweed yarn that I liked, but I've chosen a beautiful dark red, almost like a burgundy color, and a navy. Best case scenario, I design my own pattern and I do a stranded color work or a double knitted or a mosaic style pattern. I'm hopeful that I can design something myself, and if so, that's going to be one of the videos in this series. If not, it never happened and I did something plain. But the second case scenario is that I will just do a one color or I'll just do a simple striping pattern. So this brings me to something that I wanted to chat about when it comes to my wedding knitting, which I think is a really great philosophy to have about any project. And it's not my own. It is from Claude of Retro Claude, who is one of my favorite YouTubers to watch. She is a historical costume maker and she is a knitter. And she actually does some historical knitting. So she has a great channel that I watch all the time. And I actually found her because when I was getting into sewing, I was looking up tips on how to sew better or tips on how to make sewing easier. And her video popped up that I have found so much help in. It was, I don't remember the title, but it was how she works as a sewer with a disability. And my favorite tip that she brought up in that video, which is something that she lives by with every single project she's ever made, and it's something that I now want to live by with all of my projects, and that is her good, better, and best way of looking at a project. So for Claude, there's 3 different versions of her projects that she could make. She could make the good version, the better version or the best version. And the way that those differ is, what can she do? Like, what is she capable of doing? What does she have the time for? What does she have the energy for? What does she have the materials for? That type of thing. So what you do when you're planning your project is you give yourself 3 different scenarios of how that project can go. There's the good, which is basically good enough. What can you do that makes the project good enough that you feel that it's a success? The better is what you did for the good, plus a little extra if you have time, if you have materials, if you have brain power, that type of thing. And the best is your best case scenario of how the project can turn out in the end. So looking at my pocket square idea, my good version is I knit a solid colored pocket square that Doyle can wear on the day of the wedding. And it's done. He has a pocket square. The better is I do a 2-color pocket square that is either just a plain stripe or it's a pattern that I found online. It's not one that I make up myself. The best case scenario is I design my own colorwork pattern to knit for him for his pocket square. Now, all 3 of those versions involve a finished pocket square, and they just differ by a little bit, but I'm hoping that I can get the best version. If not, I settle for the better option. If I can't get that done, the good enough is what's going to get the job done, and I'll still be happy at the end. So I just wanted to share that little tidbit that I learned from Claude because I think it's a really great outlook to have when it comes to your projects, and it's definitely going to be something guiding me with my pocket square plan for Doyle. And I just really love the idea of knitting something for him for the wedding. I know there's a couple of knitters out there that I know of who have knitted their partner's socks for their wedding day. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know I do not like knitting socks. I have knit Doyle a total of 1 pair of socks and they don't fit him very well, and it took a long time to make them, and I didn't really enjoy the process. So I knew I didn't want to make socks for him, and I didn't want to knit a tie because I really don't like the look of knitted ties. I didn't want something like that for the wedding. I wanted him to have something very classic for the wedding, but I thought I could knit a pocket square. So to make it look as close to a store-bought pocket square is I'm going to use very fine yarn and very small needles. Not my ideal, but it's what I need to do to get that drape and that fabric that I want for the pocket square. And I'm hopeful that I can do a little bit of color work with it too, because I think that'll kind of give it a bit of strength for being able to stand up in the pocket. So that's everything that I have planned to knit for my wedding. It does sound like a bit of a laundry list, I know, but to be fair, the bridal shower top is almost done. I'm getting very close to that being done. And the others, I feel like I have enough time that I can dedicate to all of them. Because as soon as this bridal shower top is off my needles, that cardigan is going on my needles right away because I am already in love with my swatch. I cannot wait to knit more like this and have it to wear. It's going to be so lovely. And I also want to knit mine first because if there's any problems, I want to work them out with my own version, not with my best friend's version. I hope you enjoyed this little look at what I'm going to be knitting for my wedding. Make sure that you like this video and subscribe and hit that little bell icon so that you can be notified when I have more of my wedding series videos out. I'm hoping to get maybe 1 out a month leading up to the wedding, but of course, everything depends on when the projects get done and when I have the time to record and how high my wedding stress level is going. But I have high hopes of being able to get all of this out to you, and I really hope you enjoy this content. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. Also, while you're here, check out some of my other videos. I have lots of podcasts and pattern roundups, as well as some special videos. And I hope you all take care, happy knitting, and fingers crossed for all of my wedding knitting. I'll see you again soon. Bye!